Okay, hello everybody. I'm starting on YouTube a little bit earlier so that way I can get up some charts, or one chart in particular for Bobby, who is a part of our projector Patreon, who booked her monthly with me. I'm going to bring up her chart here, and then starting at 7:30 my time, which is in about 6 minutes, we're going to look at her chart together. I'm just going to start actually one of my candles here too. Okay, hello everybody. I'm just getting set up with Bobby's reading here. I got started already with our YouTube folks, so TikTok will be joining in at this moment. Let's see, I have Bobby, who is one of our projectors that will be doing the first reading with me. For any of you guys that are new here, welcome. My name is Brenna. I am a 1-3 sacral manifesting generator, teaching you all about the transits in human design and astrology. Let me get my pen here. I want to be able to write down the timestamps for everybody as we get into Bobby's reading. So let me do this. Okay, we're good to go for the link in my bio too. So that is $8 for 10 minutes for a 10-minute reading, I should say. And then we are going to start with Bobby in about 30 seconds. Hi, Terry. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Let me see. Trying out the new features. Hello, Hammond. How are you? Welcome, welcome. Hi, Orion. I'm just going to start off with Bobby here. Bobby's one of our projectors that is in Patreon, and she had signed up. She's unable to come because she usually works. She actually works in the evening. Hello, nice to see you again. So we're going to start with her reading, which is going to be something that I feel like a lot of people can actually, hi, Caitlin, how are you? A lot of people can actually relate to. And then let me just write down the timestamp. So I started YouTube a little bit ahead of time. So we were in this portal. So we are at the 6-minute and 43-second mark for Bobby. Okay, so Bobby's question. Bobby is also a projector or a non-sacral like Kaylin, who's a manifester. If you guys know your energy type in human design and you want to drop it in the chat, or your big 3 in astrology, please feel free to do that. If you want a reading with me, I'm keeping them affordable at $8 right now. The link is in my bio for that for 10 minutes, and I do send you a link with the recording. Thank you for the heart me. I just do send you a link with the recording, so you guys have that to watch back again and again. But Bobby's question, or what she writes, is, I do admin work at a spa, and it's my primary source of income right now. But the demands of the job are getting higher while the pay is not. I'm feeling stuck on where to go and on what to do next because I cannot stay there. So a huge thing that we see often, and Bobby, you are not alone, is that not even often, but just what's happening right now, right? Is that a lot of people are kind of in this space where we're like, okay, I know I'm feeling the growing pains of wanting something new and wanting something else to do and wanting to kind of be able to basically be like, all right, well, everything is so crazy. I deserve to be able to live out the desires that I have on my heart, live out my dreams, so on and so forth. Oh, Virgo, yes. I'll tap into that in a little bit right after I finish Bobby's reading. Thank you. I love that, Virgo rising. And so what's happening right now is that a lot of people are feeling stuck in their 9-to-5 jobs. We go through cycles of this where we see this happen every so often, but especially now is kind of this moment where a lot of people are feeling like everything is so crazy that I might as well lean confidently into the next forward step of what my dreams are, what I want to do to grow. It's funny because I also, for a little bit of time, it's one of the jobs that I always forget to mention, but I did work front desk at a spa for a little while, at a Hand and Stone franchise as well. And while I was there, when it was quiet, I actually had a separate notebook. I'm just closing my eyes so I can focus. I had a separate notebook where I would write down content outlines while I was working, because I was sitting there anyway. I couldn't really be on my phone like that, people coming in and out and whatever. And so what I would do was sit and then use that time in that way. Now, what that comes with is an ability to say, okay, like I'm not going to panic or freak out if someone sees that I'm writing down a note or something. All that takes is like, okay, being okay with people maybe reprimanding you or, a manager or someone telling you that you have to put your notebook away. It's really not that big of a deal. However, our nervous system is always going to tell us that like, oh my God, like I'm in trouble, there's something wrong. I've known Bobby, who's again is a projector, a Capricorn projector, for 4 years now. And so with my knowing Bobby and with reading for you, Bobby, like a lot of what's happening too is that you had to parent yourself a lot. So for people who are parentified children or kids who had to parent themselves and teach like what was right and wrong and didn't really have that ability to, hi Helen, welcome. I didn't have that ability to just be a kid. Hi Dee. You kind of grow up with this feeling that there's like this all-knowing eye that's watching you at all times, like waiting for you to mess up. Those like Orion, hi yo, Arioni, how are you? you are the people who kind of feel like you have this person watching over you, which is like the proverbial, I am the sky, biblically accurate angel, whatever you want to call it, that always feels like it's casting judgment on you. I'll also say that it's kind of like how I've described it, and I did a session with a guy named Ben. He's known as the fear guy. This was in 2019 now. That I was, how I mentioned it as a Virgo Chiron is that perfectionism is like a moving target that I can never hit, which is very Virgo Chiron. But I don't think this one, I have to update my chart generator again because it randomly decides to stop showing. I'll show you Bobby's chart so you guys can see it here. It randomly decides to stop showing Chiron. But basically, usually I have Chiron and Black Moon Lilith down here as well. Also a lot coming up with Gate 43, Pluto Scorpio and that transit as well. But essentially, what ends up happening is that perfectionism feels like a moving target that we're always trying to hit, but we never get it right. And so that has caused a lot of motivation in my life, but that has also caused a lot of anxiety. And so what I say to you, Bobby, is that like really being able to lean into, oh, Hannah, yes, I see you here. Thank you. Really being able to lean into the fact that like the worst thing somebody can tell you when you're sitting, front desk at the spa and working on your content outlines or figuring out what your next step is in a written notebook is like, put the notebook away or something like that, right? It's not allowing yourself to be bullied or bulldozed also into doing more work for free. Because often what has happened to me as well, and Bobby's also an Aquarius moon, by the way, are we always, are projectors, Helen, or is it, are just people in general? That would be my next question. But all that to say, while you're answering, just for me to tap back into Bobby's paid reading here, is that knowing that it's feeling that growing pains of knowing that the job that you're at currently isn't the one that you're going to be at forever. And I know a lot of you guys can relate to that here, especially because I help a lot of you guys with career. And so when you're looking to plan the next step, right, there's like always going to be the growing pains of that. And a lot of that, especially now because of all of our Piscean energy, Saturn and Pisces going retrograde. Oh, that's good. I love that for you. I mean, hey, that works. But for Bobby, she's struggling. So I don't want to diminish how she's feeling right now. But I love that for you. With that Pisces retrograde in Saturn, and also the Neptune activation that we're having now too, it's creating this kind of like under the water feeling of like not necessarily knowing where to go for a lot of people. Again, our transits don't live in a vacuum. We always want to pay attention to how it's affecting us personally because it's not going to be the same for everybody. But in Bobby's case specifically, especially with your Virgo Jupiter, right, in gate 64, it's like when you're confused, it can feel very stressful, but giving yourself time to write it out. Like I know you are such a writer. That's why I keep putting so much emphasis on that, so that you're writing and just kind of getting it out of your head and onto paper. I said this to Afro yesterday, who's another projector that's in Patreon with us, and how being a projector, you want to do like your initial brain dump of whatever it is that's stressing you out, right? Putting that down and then moving on and saying, okay, I'm going to give that a break for a little while, right? Especially as a splenic authority or an emotional authority as well. Putting a break onto that and then saying, okay, I'm going to then come back and edit this and figure out what my healthy plan of attack is. Now, the biggest struggle, right, and it's what a lot of people struggle with, is consistency. And especially in Bobby's case, so I'll show you, oh yeah, I did many years ago, front desk work, I know. You have to find ways to keep yourself busy. But what happens is that if you don't prolong your tasks enough, exactly what Bobby said in the second part, I'll read to you guys here. Again, for those of you who came in a little bit later, she says the demands of the job are getting higher while the pay is not. And so it's, especially because Bobby has a completely undefined throat. Afro, I was just mentioning you yesterday with the splenic authority and emotional authority projector gifts. But for those of you who have an undefined throat, like in Bobby's case, a completely undefined throat, it's what makes her a great musician. She's an amazing singer and songwriter, but it's also where it can take you time to learn how to speak up for yourself and have boundaries. So when you have demands of the job that are getting higher, how can you figure out what the sweet spot is for not doing them without more pay, not getting taken advantage of? And I think what people see a lot in you is because you have a lot of that essence of innocence, especially because you're a hope motivation like me, thank you, Jem, is that people are noticing that they feel like they can pull the wool over your eyes. Yeah, exactly. It's helpful to know because like when you see, if you guys have ever seen Bobby or if you connect with Bobby in the future, I do a free monthly paid reading for each of you guys in Patreon. The link to that is linked on my profile in Patreon. So all you guys for your membership do get an included reading throughout the month as a part of your membership. So Bobby's working right now. She's at the front desk job as I'm doing this reading for her, and I'm gonna send her the recording. And then I have Hannah, who will be next here in about 10 minutes. But just to wrap up with Bobby, we have a 10-minute window. And then if any of you want a reading, it's $8. I keep it affordable, 10 minutes. Link is in my bio. And I send you the recording so you have it to watch again and again. But for you, Bobby, it's a couple things, right? Just to wrap this up, to make it very succinct and clear. It's that not letting people take advantage of you and feeling the growing pains of feeling a little bit uncomfortable speaking up for yourself. In these environments and in these jobs, a lot of times when it's close quarters, and especially as projectors, your environment being so sensitive, a lot of people will also unfortunately use a lot of intimidation tactics to make you feel like it's not okay to disappoint them, right? And as we spoke about a little bit earlier, as I mentioned earlier, the parentification of ourselves makes us really afraid, and our nervous system feel really unsafe when adults or people that are in positions of power, even coworkers that we know are buddy with our bosses or our managers, it can make us uncomfortable to stick up to them, essentially. And so finding, that balance and being okay with knowing that it's okay for people not to like you, and it's safe to still show up in places and spaces, thank you, Kay, where people don't like you or they don't understand you because you set a boundary. You are safe, right? I know that's a interesting line that we're walking right now in today's society, where safety is a big thing. Also for the transits for the week ahead, I've been doing some work on that, and I was writing out some outlines today. I have a video that'll be going out on YT about the Sungate transit tonight after I get off at 9:30 my time, at 7:41 my time now, so in a couple hours. But it's a lot of that fear and anxiety that people are feeling. So just knowing that that's normal, but it's that element of intertwining that feeling of anxiety with safety, and knowing that if you know that it's not if you know that, which splenic authority, that your window of time for being at the spot, the front desk, is shortening, you want to start to make some plans in that notebook, write some plans or outlines down for content or ideas for a carousel. That looks like you're working. People don't know exactly what you're writing about, but worst case scenario, they tell you to put your notebook away, and at least you got something done until somebody said that it was a problem. Trust me, I did that many a time. I was a double dipper in my corporate jobs, so I don't dissuade you from allowing yourself to be able to focus on that as well. So, just some things to kind of leave you with. But thank you for booking with me. I'm excited. I'll pour into Hannah in a moment. Let me just make sure I'm taking down Bobby's chart. And as I put Hannah's in, I won't show your info here, but just a couple things to leave you guys with, which is helpful for you guys. Oh, I didn't see. Oh yeah, oops, I clicked something. No, you're fine. And our true Mr. Math. Oh my God, hi. I'm always let me make sure that I don't have the auto join on here too, because I'm always paranoid about that. Oh yeah, my hex story today was 28. Speaking of fear, and that really, your hex story relates to the gates, right? I think so. Fear of running out of time. Because that's also Scorpio Mars. Yeah, okay, thank you. I was confused the definitions of that. Oh, Jem, yeah, I wanted to learn more about human design. I'm loving this right now. Oh, I'm so glad. Do you know what your big gate of the game player? That I remember. That much I remember. But the hex story overlap is where I'm what is the, I have to translate it in my brain. But Jem, if you know your energy type, let me know. I have about 5 minutes before I'll start with Hannah. I'll start a few minutes early, in case there's anyone else has any questions that they want to drop in the chat, but I'll bring up Hannah's chart in the meantime too, as I give you guys some time to tap away. And thank you to everybody who's liking the live, sharing it out. That means so much to me because it helps me to help more people with human design and to grow our community here and beyond, to be able to help. Oh, Hannah, happy early birthday. Happy birthday month. I wish I got I could set something up. I probably could if I spent a good month doing it, but everyone's birthdays, auto birthdays too. Thank you for the follow. Hi, Chelsea. Aw, yes. I love this. Oh, projector. Okay, awesome. Aw, thank you. That's so cute. I love that so much. The little headphones. I love headphones like that. Let me do this. Okay, and then let me just double. Before I start yapping, just to make sure. And then we'll look at your astrocartography a little bit too. I should have you in here already. It's so funny because I'm like at my max in astro.com, so I have to usually like override somebody's chart, and the random one that I chose from like an old reading was somebody else who's also a 1990 baby and also born in Texas. So it's so funny that like the like overlap ended up being that way. Okay. I would have left you as her name, but we'll ignore that for now because we won't see that after. Okay. So I have that up when we look in a moment. Yeah, thank you. Yes, Hannah. Yes, that I know. That I remember now. It's so funny, like the way that I read your name and then seeing your like government name, sometimes it finds like a weird like amalgamation in my brain. Yay, that's so great. I love that. I love that. Yay on your success, as it should be. Like finally a place where you're like, yeah, thank God I'm getting it out of my head and into my wallet. A mesh of the two. Yes, I know. I realized that. Thank you. I was like, Hammond? You're like, what is that? It's like a superhero name. What was I saying? Thank you, Ka, for the follow. Oh, Prisha, are you still here? Let me see. Prisha? I saw Prisha. Hi, Victor. Welcome. I don't know if Prisha's still here. Thank you, Victor. But basically, I'll pin her comment or their comment as I'm answering. So any advice for Saturn in the 12th house, Saturn return in the 12th house. So the 12th house is a lot about things that we've suppressed and also things that we're not able to see so easily. So oftentimes what happens with like anytime you have any kind of activation in the 12th house, it's like you're very aware of what lies beneath the surface, but it could take a little bit of time for you to act on what lies beneath the surface. 12th house can also be hidden enemies. However, it could just be like larger concepts of what we consider to be like the albatross around our neck or the roadblocks we face. So maybe it's being able to lean into spirituality in a healthy way. Maybe it's like not being able to feel comfort in meditation. Maybe it's, just struggling in areas of like finding a sense of self or feeling a little bit more like you're like have a lack of clarity. Saturn doesn't always have to be, and none of the planets don't always have to be negative, or they can be negatively aspected, meaning if they make oppositions or different angles or, equations, if you will, to other placements, that's when it can cause a little bit of tension. However, not Saturn isn't always bad, Jupiter isn't always good, right? It's like to diminish those placements too. Yeah, Joe. To diminish it all to, one overarching theme. Hi, Canacia. One overarching theme is limiting. And I think it kind of like, a lot of people will use it to tell people what they want to hear, not what they need to hear. And then people stay stuck, right? That's what creates the codependency. Thank you for the heartbeat. Lucky number 17. I love that. So essentially, just in finishing my thought before I turn over to Hammond here, is that basically when you're going through that, right, just give yourself time to come to is the best way I can say it. Really focusing on this is a very big theme, but also exponentially so applies to you. Be aware of taking the time to really grow into your critical thinking and awareness of like who's got your back, who supports you, who are the people that are with you because they actually want genuine support and healthy reciprocity versus people who feel like they're just around and kind of like hanging on your coattails for, you know, clout or just like because it feels good to be around you. So hello. Thank you for the roses. So just to say that, I'll leave you with that at least for now. So to pivot over to Hannah, let me write down the minute marker here so that I can send that to you when I send the recording. We're at 25:43. And so your question is, I want to move to the northeast, like Massachusetts or Rhode Island. I want to live on my own and have a higher paying job. I want to see if this would be successful. So let's do a little fast, not fast, but, oh, hold on. I have to make sure that it zooms in the right way. Quick little zoom, get on our zoom here. So a couple things that I'll say. So in Massachusetts versus Rhode Island, hi Jules, how are you? Aw, Jules is my cousin who's studying abroad, who's stationed abroad right now. Aw, it's nice to see you. So Hannah, the first thing that I'll say is that like moving from, I don't know if you're still in the South, but moving from anywhere else in the world to the Northeast, what you're going to notice is a couple things already. Some things that you may feel like you're aware of already, but just to remind yourself of. There's a nickname for people who live in Massachusetts that goes by massholes, which is not to be lost on us because they're very direct, also aggressive drivers. So, okay, in Texas, okay. So like certain like generalizations, I'm from New Jersey, so if you're used to my personality, I'm like a little bit of a nicer New Jerseyan in some ways. But basically, you know, knowing that it's a lot more of a direct culture, I'm not saying that that's like a bad thing, just to like prepare for the energy shift that you're going to get in the South. A lot of people, especially the closer that you get to any kind of major city, it's not normal for people to like look at who they're passing in the eye walking down the street and say hello to them. People see that more as a threat than anything else, right? So it's just kind of noticing that there's going to be some changes like that. You see a little bit of that in Rhode Island, however, not as much in my lived experience. So, okay, there you go. Yeah. It's so funny because I think of like the type of aggression is like different. It's very Saturnian in the sense of like the Northeast being very much like aggressive, like just don't get in my way. I also think that in Texas, there's also an air, in my experience, of aggression that's like, I'm bored and there's nothing else to do, so let's argue with each other. Are there people like that everywhere in the world? Yes, but if I were to have to just paint a sweeping generalization for the sake of our 10-minute time that we have together, that is one that I can pretty confidently make based on my lived experience in, you know, or going in those areas of the world at different times for different reasons. So it's just like a different kind of sensation where we go. Again, all these things exist in all corners of the world, but just like kind of the culture is interesting in that. So all that to say, right, when we're looking at your astrocartography, when I pivot over here, and thank you, Kinesia, for that reference over on Threads with astrocartography, but when we're looking at, you know, the Northeast, the closest line that you have here is your Uranus line. So when we're looking at this and anything in astrocartography, the sphere of influence, or basically if you're living, you know, this is actually right about where I am in the world, but when we're looking at, you know, Massachusetts and this area, Bridgeport, Connecticut, Boston, you know, all that to say, this is upstate New York here, Vermont, New Hampshire, you're going to go within about a 200-mile radius. So you're in between your Uranus and your Chiron, but you don't have direct hits that are there. So what happens, right, is basically wherever Uranus is, it's a disruptor. Being disrupted doesn't have to be a bad thing, especially if you feel that call to move in that direction. It's going to shake things up for you. Now, what the kind of shadow is, or it's kind of like, I would say not even the shadow of the planet, but like the 4 o'clock sunset where the sun is going down and it's not yet, you know, it's maybe a little bit more golden hour versus like blue light, you know, twilight hour, so to speak, is that you're going to be feeling that shift more continuously. now, what it might also make you confront, because you are further leaning in the direction of Chiron, is your wounded healer energy. So yeah, in your Chiron line, I know. So I would avoid, like, to Orion's point, I would avoid, this corner of Maine, or like the very like close, like Acadia, Bar Harbor, up in that area, because you're gonna have to deal with your wounded healer over and over again. It's just a point of like sensitivity, essentially. Like when I pivot back here for you, your Chiron isn't going to show up here either, unfortunately, but your Capricorn and Uranus does, which I wanted to talk about as well. It's funny because we're talking about confrontation as well, and being confrontational. Hi, Noelle. Oh my gosh, I've been like going to send you an audio message all day and getting distracted by other things, and I was like, how is it 7:30 already? But all that to say, Hannah, like with your gate of the fighter, it's trial and error of experience. Whoops, I don't want to do that. Trial and error of experience for like, what are you fighting for? And that can be, to your point, fighting for your right to get a higher paying job. It's going to make you more comfortable and having conversations about, this is what I deserve to get paid. I'm not going to move until I get this pay. Like, this is what I need to be able to afford to live in this state, in this area. And knowing that like a lot of things are shifting right now. It doesn't mean that you can't get a job right now, but I will say that like if you're in an industry that's very saturated, there are a lot of moving parts where a lot of companies are scaling back, and that also is like the trickle down effect of like our larger systems that are at play. So many words that I can't say. It starts with a G and ends with a T. Just being, careful on this app so that I also have a portal to help you and talk to you guys. So I'm going to read this part to you, not to scare you, but just to make yourself aware of it. So on the little description that I like to read, especially when I'm doing like a longer session on Uranus here, is that these places do not lend themselves to more material aspects of daily life. There's no solid base because Uranus is very floaty, very alien. So a danger exists for unrealistic thinking. The consequences of which can be self-deceit, intrigue, and losses. Illusions and false hopes can foster a desire to escape from this world or to take refuge in use of alcohol and drugs, I'll say. So basically, because of, and this is interesting, I'm saying Uranus, but it's your Neptune with the fighter. It's so funny because I'm like, in my head, I'm like Uranus, but I think I said Neptune out loud. Your Neptune is not too far off in the other way, but your Uranus, basically is that planet of chaos and disruption also, or oh my God, I'm gonna do it now. This is in real time, also Neptunian and Uranian happening back and forth. But basically with Neptune, right, it's where we have a lot of those delusions and also a little bit of chaos simultaneously. So think of other places. I'm not entirely, okay, so just to kind of move around, do you want to stay in the US will be my first question. Like, is that like, where you're set on? Oh, Detroit. Okay, we can look over a little bit too. Oh, I like that for you. Your Venus running right through there. I do like that. Because Venus would be about more of what you value as well. And I think any kind of major city always is gonna help with a little bit more of opportunity. And what I like about Detroit as a city, and if we talk about the energy of a city as a whole, is also that it kind of is, everyone there is like used to the school of hard knocks. Like it's kind of like a forgotten city in a lot of ways, but also like no one forgets about Detroit. Also, when you look at this back, everything is correct. It just is the old person's name that I edited because I didn't edit the name. So I don't want you to be like, wait, this isn't my chart when I send you the recording. But essentially, I do like that better for you. What is your Venus gate also? Oh, gate 50. So even allowing yourself to really be like, okay, what are the values of what I want to get out of what I'm putting in here is going to be important. I also like you being closer to a city because there's more opportunity for growth. Even if you live in a suburb where you can have access to a more of a busy city central, I say that because of being a mental projector in human design, your environment really is so important to you. So when you are focused on your environment, or being in a place that feels like you want to feel like you're in places that are more expansive where you can network with a lot of people to be able to be like, oh my gosh, Hannah knows exactly what she's talking about. Like, just by existing in those spaces, people want to promote you. People want to invite you, essentially, is the human design word, to be able to do things and to be a part of their company. And it makes it a little bit easier for you to get a little bit more higher pay. What I like is that you do have a stellium in gate 50 in human design. It's your sun, your Mercury, and your Venus, which is running through. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, with people that are like-minded and more liberal. Exactly. You feel like you have a little bit more room to breathe and survive in those places where, yeah, it's like just feeling like you have a place that's maybe more reflective of your personal values is always going to be important, and paying attention to that too. What I like too is that you get the full emphasis on that, which is interesting because I wonder, do you have like any, like, what are your, when you talk about higher paying jobs, what are your, what's the word, industry? Like, what industry are you in or looking to get into? I'll pivot my screen here because we'll end with talking about Detroit a little bit as well. And then we can workshop some business stuff. I'll actually also read, maybe I'll do a little reading on the gate description for gate 50. Gate 50 is essentially the gate of values. It sits in the spleen center. And so when we're looking at, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I don't think I had anyone that booked right after you. So, okay, I have another couple minutes or so that I'll give you. And then again, if anyone else wants to book $8, 10 minutes, I send you a recording. Link is in my bio for that. But let me bring up this little book here. Oh, it was open right to it. So it was meant to be. So Gate 50, this is from Chetan Parkin, who's one of my favorite projectors. I actually have an affiliate link that I made because a lot of you guys were sweet and asked me for one. So I made one today. So if you guys are interested in purchasing this book, it is available on Amazon. So do with that information what you will. Yes. Okay. I'm glad. I'm gonna keep an eye out for it. We'll decipher it together. But essentially for Hannah, for your like big three, of your stellium in astrology, and human design and gate 50, I'm using it in my own sense of the definition, but the potency of this energy that you're going to feel in Detroit that you feel already, but it may be a little bit more, I find, healthily reflective, a little bit more emotionally fulfilling because your moon comes into contact with your Venus in that area. So gate 50, the gate of values. This is sometimes called the gate of the cauldron because that's where values in life cook and simmer. Nothing matters more to this gate than the values which persevere and support family, workplace, or community, and community are espoused and honored, Nothing matters more to this gate than these values which preserve and support family, workplace, or community, and they're espoused and honored. Values are something which often get handed down from generation to generation or are acquired in the home, church, or school. But with this gate on, or when you have it activated, you have a natural attunement to what is appropriate or not, what is fair or unjust in any situation, in any moment. Gate 50 enables you to identify and honor all values and correct actions which, in your book, lead to sustainable and effective living. Some values endure and some need replacing, and your Gate 50 will constantly be called to attune to the needs of the situation. Your big questions are, what are the values that are going to best serve society? And these are the ones that you live by, right? These are just good journal prompts for everyone. This is a late degree Libra, early degree Scorpio placement, just FYI. That's because like in human design, you would be, Hannah, a Libra, like Scorpio cusp. But in astrology, there really aren't cusps there, but the gates or late degree and early degree like placements do kind of have a flavor of each other. So we see that kind of blend and amalgamation. But all that to say, some values endure, some need replacing, and your Gate 50 will constantly be called on to attune to the needs of the situation. Your big questions are, what are the values that are going to best serve society? Can everyone be encouraged to be personally responsible? we find that more in a city, right? More people have to be like, we come together. It's its own island in and of itself. These questions tie in with an inherent fear of taking responsibility. That's every gate that's in the spleen center with our primal instincts and fears. Because think about how much, like, everything that I'm reading is the core of the message is fairness, right? Like, how are we finding fairness? How are we making things fair? What is it that makes people feel like they are all taken care of? Like, my Pisces and my Aquarian, like, heart is like breaking into 1,000 pieces every day and then gluing it back together, or keeping it tender, and not letting anything that's happening in our big wide world kind of like let it completely shatter, because if I'm everything to everyone and letting myself bleed, I'm nothing to nobody and can't help people like you who, like, I can help shift and encourage a move that's gonna help you take the leap and move on. I say the fairy woman of change, with my North Node in Scorpio, for so many people, and what's going to create more harmony in your life because of that. The last little sentences I'll read here for you, for everyone, because again, we're going to be experiencing this transit around Hannah's birthday, which is October 23rd. Standing up for right and appropriate values brings the pressure to be an example in society, and you sense that responsibility acutely. You're hyper aware of it. This is a heightened fear in your spleen, or if your spleen is undefined, which yours is actually. This is a heightened fear if your spleen center is undefined. Fear of taking responsibility, taking on too much. So fall back on your authority, mental authority, for reassurance and guidance. But no one will be more vociferous, I don't know what that word means, if you sense that moral decay is jeopardizing the common good or a secure future of the community. So basically, I mean, especially like I was gonna say before I like focused on this placement, like I could imagine like if you go to Detroit, you end up going into politics if you aren't already, or something that has to do with like making sure that people are advocated for. Kay, who's one of my like mutuals on here for a long time. Okay, so you like strongly hate something. That makes sense. Thank you. I like where's the story of my dictionary? Thank you, Orion. But Detroit is very close to Flint, Michigan, and they haven't had clean drinking water in God knows how long, and then all of a sudden it becomes uninteresting anymore, and then we don't hear about it again. It's like because the news is like a tabloid in a lot of ways. So yeah, that's so true. I'm thankful. Tell him I said thank you. It helps me help everybody, so thank you. You help us. But all that to say, Hannah, like, in a way, I think of like Eric Mays. If you don't know him, look him up because he's so funny. He actually passed away, R.I.P. But essentially, I think he was based in Detroit. He at least was out further west somewhere. But I would say this, that as a society, we're going through a lot of growing pains. Okay, I love that. I love that. He's like a vocal stim in our household. Like all the things that Eric Mays says. He's like, we will like randomly blurt out, my husband and I, his phrases. But, essentially, knowing that there's going to be a lot of growing pains in a lot of cities right now. So, it's basically we're going through another growth spurt, to put it lightly, of the haves and the have-nots. People that are already struggling, a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people it's getting worse because they don't have resources to get better. So I think that when you're moving to a city, if you're in any kind of like political, if that's your environment, or if you're unsure just yet, that's okay too. But I would be doing you a disservice to be like, everything will be fine in this area of the world, because like nothing's fine everywhere at this time, like we're feeling the overflow, or, there's always things that are shifting and changing. And there's no place that we can just snap our fingers and have it be sunshine and roses always, although it is possible to still have peace in places that are going through, a little bit of changes. And obviously use your discernment. I'm not talking about places that are like active, things happening in that corner of the world, Unfortunately, I have to be a little bit more cautious now, from what I'm saying. So yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like it's so funny. Hi, Holly. because the Peace Corps came up to me randomly today. And I also do have my ex, actually, is a projector. He lives in Hawaii now, and we dated very briefly. He was my first boyfriend. Like, we're friends now. But he lives in Hawaii, and he actually was a part of the UN. He is Turkish. He didn't change his his country of origin, but he's Turkish, and he did work for the UN. So if there's anything that, like, you know, you have questions about, or if that's like in your orbit or a possibility, you know where to find me. So I can hook it up with 2 projectors. So yeah, I tried to be PC with my question. Yes, that's totally fine. I think it's just knowing, like, this is what I'll say about these platforms too, because I understand the frustration of feeling like, what is it? The 6 of Swords or the 6 of Wands? What's the tarot card that she's like bound? It feels like that now, but I will let you know that even though, you know, we're smiling and we're happy and I'm here and we're having a good time, like, I'm very aware that, like, I don't own this platform. 8 of Swords? Yeah, I was gonna say, okay, let me look. Oh yeah, look, she was at the bottom too. Good memory, good eye. Or I'm assuming you maybe read tarot all the time. I don't have all the cards memorized, but I kind of use it as like a prop when I need to get my psychic juices flowing. Although I have been called to like actually do like a class or something. Eight of Swords, thank you. But that's what I was picturing. Like, even though this place that we're in together feels that way, yes, I would love that. Maybe we'll do it. I could do it together, kind of do like, I'd be studying with you guys. So if you're okay with being in that zone, we could do that together. Ooh, I love that. Thank you, AJ. Thank you, AJ Orion. Tarot. That's a good idea. We could do like another kind of like I'll give it to you guys already who already have your tears in there. Okay, I love that. Thank you. We're all human. Yeah, no, I know. Thank you, Hannah. I appreciate that. Thank you, Orion. He's coming clutch with all the good things. I mean, so as always, but you know, just a little extra emphasis. Oh, let me make sure. Sorry, am I totally yapping over Chelsea? I probably am about to if I don't look now. Oh, Megan, hello. Okay, Chelsea, I'm gonna put a pin in that there for now. But essentially, I think this is gonna bleed over if I had an inkling into what Chelsea is going to be asking. So let me write down Chelsea's beautiful name here. Chelsea, I was looking at you. Oh my gosh, you know who you remind me of? Anne Hathaway. Especially like when you're turned, like, and I see like your 3/4 profile view too. You remind me, and your beautiful hair, of Anne Hathaway, and especially like in her like Devil Wears Prada like author. Yeah, it was like, oh my god, it was like a light went off in my head when I was looking at, well, I think it was your video when you were like editing and you were singing like Sleep Token. I think it was that video that was the one that I thought of it, and I was like, I had to think about who it was, and I was like, I have to go back and comment that on the video. Oh, I love that. Oh, Gemini. Okay, that's another. Thank you, Gem. I love that. Are you a Gemini? I wonder. But let me pause before again. I'm gonna keep yapping. So Chelsea's question. She's also a projector, so. The energy right now is a lot. Yes. Thank you, Megan. I appreciate that. So any insights on navigating the astrological chaos is great, but specifically for me, I'd love insight in balancing control versus flow, and or how to best channel my creativity for writing as a slowly recovering perfectionist who's also powering through the collective heaviness and dealing with ending personal karmic cycles and friendships. Just the light stuff, right? Just the easy stuff that we have going on. I have so many ideas inspired from personal and global situations, but I'm slightly struggling to sit down to channel it into my writing instead of mentally spiraling. I understand. I think that you have an incredible, I'm getting like excited for you. I know that sounds kind of crazy. You're excited that I'm spiraling. Like, thanks, bitch. Like, I know you don't actually say that, but all that to say that like, you have an incredible opportunity to create art that can go down in the canon of history that is taught about at this time. Like, and I don't say that as just like a blowing smoke for the sake of blowing smoke, but every single book, you guys know, Chelsea, you know this, I'm an art historian by trade. It's basically just I'm a history major that learned about history through art. My thesis was on Helen Frankenthaler. 9th Street Women was about a collective of women who came second wave abstract expressionists. We read now about things that they went through in a book, and it's so easy. I can sit on my pink velvet couch and read about Helen Frankenthaler and all, basically the wives of Jackson Pollock. But when they were going through this shit, it's not just a story. Like, that was their real life. Like, those were real things that happened to them. And there's a huge opportunity for you to be a conduit to collecting that knowledge. Oh yeah, repeating perspectives. Yes, I would say too, look into vocals. I'll actually, in the email that I send you, I'll link that for you. My husband also is a self-published author. He did a book of poetry, and he published it way back when through Amazon. But Vocals was another place that you can submit your short stories, and also get paid. It's kind of like, basically, Vocals is like the more like poetry, creative writing version of Substack. And I also, if you have like really leaning into Substack and consistency in that way, shape, or form, if you watch, we binged Severance in like 3 days. That was our TV show that we watched when we were away for our elopement. And just watching that now and seeing how art always has a way of telling us what's going on without, like, while doing it safely. Severance is a really good TV show to watch that. Exactly. Everything is, like, everything is the P word. Everything is. And so life doesn't exist without that, and so, like, it infiltrates to every single aspect of our life and how we operate, etc. So we would be silly not to think that in some way, I slightly struggling to say. I think let me pull up your chart, because I wanted to look at a couple things. I mean, those things I can say just to rattle it off. Creating a healthy amount of pressure for you as well is going to be something that's important, because you need to feel like it is, how do I word this? Like, you need to feel like there's a reason to sit down. All Aquarians, especially as Saturnians, like, you kind of, and my husband is as well, you need to be forced to sit down to do something and need to feel that pressure from somewhere. It's weird because you have to play with, and I don't have this answer for everyone all the time, unfortunately. I wish I did, because everyone is nuanced, and also we're shifting, right? Yeah, exactly. Like, maybe it's like, this is something that I used today. An hourglass, 15-minute hourglass, and I'm just gonna write, this is so cute and like artsy. Hi, Simone. Oh my God, I hope you should fall on your move. Something cute like that you could use, Chelsea, just to make yourself feel like, there's a healthy pressure in some way, shape, or form. But, what works today isn't always gonna work tomorrow, but what you can focus on is like, okay, this worked for today. I'm not going to hype myself up about having, I know I love it so much. I'm not going to focus on stressing myself out so much about it not being, trying to rinse and repeat the same thing that makes me productive every day. I also, if you are a woman that has a period, if you don't already focus on cycle syncing, you have to do that, because that's where we get frustrated, where I'm like, damn, I have one good week, where I have brain clarity, or I feel like I can function a little bit more. And, then I end up like, I have an ingrown toenail, or I don't know, something stupid like that, like that we could, say in jest, but like there can be something that happens. Yeah, Noelle. And like, we're leaning into that, right? Let me see. I know, you're so sweet. You're like, there's so many things I could say about this mathing. It's so helpful. I'm going to run upstairs and get the book Woman Code, because it's going to be helpful. I feel like I just need it, because I'll also send you a picture of it, Chelsea, because it's one page in particular. Hold that thought. You guys are gonna laugh at me when I talk about that later, but I brought a couple of things down. This is the book that I'm talking about. I'm gonna take a picture and send it to you, Chelsea, so that you can get the, you can basically start tonight if you wanted to look at where you're at in your cycle. And basically each of our weeks, you know, we have 4 weeks in the month, 4 weeks of our cycle, and our personal months, blah, 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 that our brain power is stronger. So basically we know that like in the world of hormones, what goes up must come back down again. And that includes our hormones. So it's like, let that be a self-induced pressure. Because what I keep referencing is the fact that I want to have your chart up is the fact that you have a defined root. So that's why it's harder for you to justify like, what is time? Nothing matters. I will say that I just did the video that's going out tonight. My notebook is upstairs, but I'm not going to run upstairs again. My code. Hi, Leticia. How are you? So what happens is that we know hormonally we always have times where we feel a dip in our energy. And so that knowing that that's happening and that's coming during like, you know, your ovulatory phase, follicular phase a little bit more so, those can be your writing windows. And then in other times you can focus on editing. Oh, I love that. Yes, yes, I love that. So I don't know, Noelle, if you knew this, but I worked with her at All Bodies when I was I was an admin assistant for them when I was talking about the Plan C situation. So she was one of the people that did like a class there. I feel like it's just another lore drop that we're talking about. Hi, Caroline. But essentially, Chelsea, I would start with this. I feel like it's kind of a lot of what I'm telling people right now is going back to basics. I can't remember the date, but it's sometime between now and the 7th, or it's going to be October 6th. October 5th, is going to be a day that we feel a little bit defeated, like things are kind of going backwards. Also on the 4th, we're going to feel a little bit more momentum. If you feel tired towards the weekend, before we go into the week, we're going to have an upshift in energy. I'm sorry I don't remember what day it is in the top of my head, but the video I'll post tonight on YT, if you scroll ahead to like the 7-minute mark, I go through the days of the week. So it'll be like a couple minutes in from the 7-minute mark. I'll email it to you as well once it's done uploading so that you guys can use that for like your daily routine, or at least for you, Chelsea, so you have it. But I would start with that and then focus again on what you can. I say again because I said this earlier, not to you though. And Megan, I'll pivot over in a second, my dear. Focus on what you can control and doing what you can with the time that you have. Even if it's just one word, like starting, and this is also very helpful, it's a brain psychology trick where you count down like 3, 2, 1, and then you get up and you just go to your computer and write on autopilot or your journal, whatever is helpful to you. I want you to have like Google document always open, the journal always open. So even if you're just writing a word, like that is what's helpful, to just get into the habit of the act of writing. And it's kind of like, at this point, if there's ever a time, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So now is a time to remember that like that is, that's something that we want to not take for granted, because tomorrow really is completely unknown. And so how do we want to live today? And not letting that get us into a defeatist mindset, but more so like, you know, I really know that, like, especially in our Aquarian way, Aquarius rising here to your sun, that like I have to get this out of me before I am no longer on this earth plane anymore. Thank you, Megan. So, you know, just noticing that too. Gate 48 in general holds a fear of inadequacy. And so it's the perfectionism is strong this week, but you know this, right? Knowing what the energy is more than half the battle. And then you can know that that's there and say, that's cute that you're trying to make me feel that way, but I actually have to write. So if you wouldn't mind just sitting over there for a while, I'll see you this time next year, you know, or whatever the future transit is. Gate 16 activates it a little bit in Gemini season 2. So I'll make sure I upload that video for you as this recording will be processing, and then I'll send you guys all of that, or at least Chelsea for you, in the email a little bit later this evening so that you have that. But I'm going to do on my YouTube channel, also as a little disclaimer, is I'm doing gate deep dives. So when you have gates in your human design body graph, Chelsea, you have the 4816 channel. So you have this already. So it actually would be helpful for you to listen to the beginning of that video too, because it's going to be something you're used to feeling all the time. It's your 4816 channel. Basically, the more you delay the habit, the more you're just delaying time of perfecting the art of it, because you know that you can be perfect at your craft and you will be perfect, which is what makes you great, right? Like I was just talking about that with my Virgo Chiron. Noelle has this too, my 94 babies, you're talking about this. The perfectionism wound is what makes us amazing, but it also what makes us our own worst critic. It is a motivator. We're actually not supposed to get away from that feeling, but once it becomes unbearable, like what is the anxiety of that actually doing for us? You know, is that actually functional or is it functional freeze? This is a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, kind of like you can answer that rhetorically, but we're all like, oh, okay. I get that now. Now I understand. That oh is also very Noelle. Oh, yeah. I can see that now. I picked that up from her for sure, from you, Noelle. But yeah, so just to say that, yeah, girl, I feel that. We're like, oh, fuck, yeah, I understand. We're feeling that so much. Okay, so let me pivot over. Thank you, Chelsea. I'm excited. Yeah, exactly. Like, yes. All this whole week is going to be about like perfectionism for us. We're already in the second day of this transit. We only have a few days left, but it's also what's doubling down on this too is the fact that we have Venus in Virgo. Virgo is always like meticulously looking to take everything apart and put it back together again. It's the tinkerer. It wants to know like how things work, how we work, blah, blah, blah. But that's not always helpful, as we know. Yeah. But again, right, it's like, oh, great. Like, okay, but you're like, wait, but I felt this feeling before. And like, but did you though? Like, we're still here, right? It's like, I was thinking like even just random things. I'm like, there are so many times where like I've gotten off a TikTok live and I've been like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. Or like, that was so embarrassing. I swear on my life, there is not one thing that I remember that feeling, but I cannot actually remember what one thing is that I said that was actually that embarrassing. And even if it was like, okay, like I'm a human being, I say quirky shit, I say weird things, like I say things weird, like it's okay, you know, but like here I am yet again. There's, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 of us all together across 2 platforms, including myself. Like exactly. And at the end of the day, it's like nobody that's going to laugh at a mistake or laugh at like a piece of what you're writing, worst case scenario is ever something that is bad. So again, I'm just going to put your chart in again. I'm trying to find it. But I'm wasting time as I'm scrolling. I'm sure in so many ways there's probably, and no one booked right after you, so we're not delaying anyone else too, which makes me happy. My gate 28 in me. I'm like, so when are you going to be on the next Netflix show? When is that going to happen? But thank you, Chelsea. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, be weird coming from an Aquarius moon. Exactly. Well, I feel like it's so funny. Like there's nobody I was saying this with my husband, like we're all of our friends have some variation of like neurodivergency because of like and I think all of us that, any of you that are able to here, yeah, 2020, let's manifest. Exactly. Hey, listen, that'll be here before we fucking know it. Like talk about time. Speaking of, let me write down me gains time here. 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 22 seconds. So how can I better prioritize the next 6 months using my birth chart and my human design effectively? I love that question. Hi, Nini. And it's literally what I am making my new videos about for YT. I'm going to do a general overview of the gate placement. Noelle was like, yes, do that. She was my soundboard for this idea. And then I'm going to split it with a weekly transit so that you guys can watch that. My goal is to have them out on Sunday every week so that you can listen for the week ahead, including Sunday, and then plan your week on a Sunday or a Monday using that transit. Hi, Tara. Transit weekly, blah, blah, blah. When we're looking, the first place that we're looking, of course, at your human design, your astrology, is what your energy type is, right? Like, what is the general way that you are going to be feeling? Okay, great. Thank you, Tara. I'm glad. More affirmation for me. Thank you. But basically, the first thing, like when you're a generator, Megan, and myself being a manifesting generator, there's the first thing that is the most helpful litmus test. Even if you use this to carry you through the next week, from week from today, Thursday to Thursday, it'll help you to recalibrate with what you actually need. I'm just closing my eyes to focus because ADHD. Satisfaction versus frustration. Those two buzzwords for you as a generator and for your astrology and as an Aquarius moon, right? Saturnian, you want to get shit straight, right? Like, we're very serious about our fun. In an ironic way, Chelsea pivoting over into Megan, you guys have Sun Moon Synastry, so you would get along too. A lot of Chelsea's writings would probably reflect what you like to read, Megan, or scripts that you may want to act on one day. But satisfaction is the vocabulary word that we're using that's a feeling we're wanting to lean towards. I don't want to say chasing because it's never out of our grasp. Like, we always have it within us, as we do frustration. Anytime you feel frustrated during your day this week, I just want you to ground yourself in a physical, somatic, present moment awareness of like what is making you feel frustrated versus what is making you feel satisfied. When you feel frustration, it's not something that's like, oh, Megan is bad, she didn't do this right, there's something wrong with her, she feels frustrated. Today, I felt frustrated probably 3 times I could count specifically, and then I said, okay, I'm feeling frustrated, like, what is it that I need? It sounds so silly, but we have to go back to our biology. That's funny that like cycle syncing came up with Chelsea too, because it's obviously relevant for you. It's my psychicness coming in. About being incredibly aware of our biology. Also, like, duh, because our spleen, which is where we're being activated for the sun gate transit, Libra gate transit, 9 degrees through 15 degrees for our sun. It's basically making us aware of, like, instinctively, like, what do we have to do to survive, right? Like, our frustration is only an awareness that, or something that's making us aware of where we have to pivot to feel satisfaction. Our frustration is helping us to feel satisfaction. So, for example, I was sitting here and I was writing at my desk and I was listening to Josh Groban. Well, you know about Josh Groban. And so I was writing and I was like, oh, like, I wanted to write all the outlines for, a couple other videos that I was making. And I wrote 2 and I was like, oh, like, I don't want to write anymore. Even though I love what I do, right? I obviously, like, I love what I do. But, like, I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, I don't want to still be at my desk. And then I was like, what's wrong? Like, what do I need in this moment to feel satisfied? And I was like, you know what? My water's empty. Let me just go upstairs and refill my water. I'm going to take a sip. I forget to drink water while I'm on, too. Let me just take a sip of water. And then, go upstairs, get my water, take a sip, whatever. And then I was like, oh, I actually haven't eaten, so I'm probably hungry. So I made meatballs at like 3 o'clock this afternoon for dinner. And I was like, I'll just pop a couple meatballs and then I'll go back downstairs. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like dehydrated and also just need a little bit of calories because like our brain goes so much as generators and manifesting generators that like it sounds so silly. And it's like, oh, like, sometimes you feel like I want this big monumental tip that I'm going to snap my fingers and then everything will fall into place. And it is those moments of being like, okay, that's all I needed. The frustration's gone. What happens and how we are trained, especially with your history, just like going to Canada, getting there, like, the environment that you're raised in, I just know, certain patterns stay true energetically. And so a lot of times you're taught to dismiss those patterns or like ignore it and push through anyway. And that's what has gotten us into these spaces of not knowing what we want, who we are, what we want to do, because we ignore our basic biological needs. And even me in doing something that I love, I get into the habit of, you know, ignoring them too sometimes, because I'm like, I was just off for 2 weeks. I want to be productive this week and get back into my routine. And what's helpful is we can integrate, you know, especially whenever I take a break, I'm like, how do I integrate those moments with my present, you know, as I'm working? And those things alone were 2 vocabulary words that really changed my life, by no exaggeration of that statement, to be able to pivot to what I actually needed to do for me as a generator. I'm just I don't want to say spout, you know, little road that is connected under the umbrella of generator. As a manifesting generator myself, the satisfaction and frustration also still applies. So I'm going to pause there. Yeah, okay, I'm so glad. Yeah, I realize that my job drains me, but dance energizes me always. I love that. One of the women that I worked with in the city, in New York, goes to a dance camp in Connecticut every year. So I would like look into dance camps, things that make you feel like you can, you know, dance camp is almost like the modern day circus in the best way. I also have a projector client named Tracy, who is a belly dance instructor. She does belly dancing online. Like, those are things that can also be possible for you to do too. Like, kind of just allowing yourself to be surprised is a really big thing. I was channeling that this week, and I said that in my video for Gate 48 deep dive, about like allowing yourself to be surprised by what's available and what's possible. So just that in and of itself. Now, with the addition of me kind of giving you like what you need to know about the transits each day, like that'll be a helpful video for you to pay attention to. I won't do it here just because it takes too long, but I'll put it on YT just because like we can sit in that space. If you don't have to do my paid Patreon tier to do that, but you could just do a free one and it'll notify you, or just sub to YouTube and hit the little notification bell. Yeah, I love that. So, okay, so that's a perfect thing. See how that made you feel more satisfied? Even though your job was draining you, you felt satisfaction in that. The biggest thing that I can say for all of you, if you guys take nothing else away from what I'm saying, is that don't allow the exhaustion you feel in your current job to project fear of being exhausted in pursuit of the things that you love to do. Right? That's like, I've said that for a while, but there's that quote that's going around that highlights that about, what a blessing it is to be exhausted in the pursuit of my happiness or something like that. But it really is true. Where like, allow yourself to be, a little bit more tired, because what's happening, especially with your, Pisces Mars too, is that you're getting tired or exercising extra energy that is meant to be spent doing the things that you love to do, right? It's like, it's not going away from what our body is telling us. Let me do that too. Moving away from what our body and our body awareness is telling us is again, why we feel so unhappy and we don't know what to do, because we're taught to separate from what our bodies are telling us instinctively. Hi, Danny, welcome. Really departing ourselves from that, right? So when we don't have that awareness of like, you know, what our needs are at any given time, we're taught that when we feel frustration, but we have work to do, we're supposed to push through anyway. It's another chip away at like us becoming detached from our spirit. So allowing yourself to lean into things like that, and still, you know, now from there, what's the next step? Maybe you want to do a month of that. Maybe that's a fun thing that you do until the end of the year with different styles of dance. You know, like just things that you can allow yourself to feel excited about life again, and know that like, even though there are corners of the world where people aren't having the most exciting existences right now, you're allowed to still pursue that too. And some of those people can even be members of your family. I can speak to personal experience with that like me getting married and, you know, having members of my family that don't talk to me, that, you know, have their own shit going on and can't, you know, come up enough to be like, you know, it's really, and I said this, it's so funny because this is kind of a segue into the energy of the day for tomorrow. And I started with saying that like misery really does love company, and a lot of miserable people are making it themselves known very loudly, not in a good way. It's not actually helpful because they don't have the ability to see how they can get support, and they expect their family members to owe it to them, rather than finding resources where it's like, yeah, I'm just the kid. I'm actually not the therapist and the family doctor and, you know, the translator all the time. And, you know, having, you know, being able to teach people how to fish is also a skill that there's not there's nothing wrong with that. You know, like people, you cannot outsmart people of the lessons that they're supposed to learn, but you can teach them how to be dependent on you, you know, and that can take away from belly dancing or, you know, having fun in some way, shape, or form that actually feels, you know, exciting for you. Like you're allowed to experience joy. And I think that's a lot of things that people are not. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. That's okay. Listen, I have at least, I have it recorded. So even though you didn't get it in this moment in this way, maybe because it'll make you cry later, I don't know. But I will send you the recording so you have it. That's part of the reason that I started doing this too, is so that way if weird techie things happen too, you have it again to watch it again and again, so you can sit with it in sacred space in your own way. But it's not, I mean, to do the transits of the next 6 months, I'll post them weekly because there's so much that happens over the course of 6 months. Sometimes I could talk for 2 hours about the transits of the next 6 hours, not let alone 6 months. So, you know, with that being said, like that's more so, don't stress yourself out about what's coming in the next 6 months because it's not going to help you. What's actually, it's funny because that's a resistance and exactly what we were talking about of like I have to know so much about the next 6 months, but really what we're focusing on this week or what we're being pushed to focus on is what's actually happening right now, and how what we set right now with the intention of what we do with our time is what actually helps change the next 6 months. If I tell you the transits for the next 6 months, it's a 50% chance about what's going to happen in your day-to-day life, because I can tell you those things, you can write them down in a notebook, but I want you to think about 6 months ago, all the other things that you wrote down in a notebook that are maybe collecting dust. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Because I'm that person too. And I realize that that's actually like knowing all the information. Maybe that's actually not as helpful as me being like, okay, how do I integrate on knowing like what the changes are that I can focus on right now? What's making me feel frustrated? I'm just trying to find my slippers. What's making me feel frustrated versus what's making me feel satisfaction is going to help you more than like that specifically. You know, we have some squares with our Mars, and that's what's been most proactive, Mars and Pluto and Scorpio. You know what? Let me be surprised at this point. No, honestly, it's helpful because like what we've lost, and the reason we crave our childhood so much is that we've lost the art of being present because we have so many. Oh, hello from Argentina. Hi, Leandro. We've lost the art of, you know, not being able to look at what's next. Now we Google something. How many times, because I do this too, how many times do you Google something on your phone and then you forget the answer to what you just Googled? And then 5 minutes later, right? It's helpful. I think if I know everything, I might not do anything. Yes. There's literally, I think it was Albert Einstein who was like, the more you know, like the more depressed you become, because it makes you feel like out of control, because it's impossible for us to take action on everything in this present moment. Knowledge is power in a lot of ways, but knowledge can also be very debilitating without action, especially if it's knowledge that you're getting with the intention of acting on it at some point, and then you info dump on yourself, and then it gives you that analysis paralysis that's triggering the question, well, if I know this, then I can do something. But think of all the things that you know already to be true. And some of those things exist in this present moment of like, okay, well, I know that I'm drained. I know that I enjoy dance. And I know that I want to do something with this creatively. So knowing that, what's something practical that I'm like, okay, I'm going to go down the YouTube hole of like, oh, I love that. I love that. That's amazing. I did go to solo salsa dance class outside my comfort zone. That's amazing. Aw, that's so special though. Like A+ to you for that. Like just allow yourself to enjoy that. And that's one of those things, like that is such a, we look back, right? And think about all the times that you were anxious about doing the solo salsa class, and now that's already something that's already in the past, you know, and celebrating that and being present in your celebrations. And it's the blessing and the curse of Aquarius placements, again, because I'm calling myself out as we're talking. I'm kind of pivoting into more of a general, general energy after your reading here. But for those of us with Aquarius placements, especially your moon internally, we're always thinking a little bit ahead of the curve because we're meant to bring people there. And we are meant to stick our necks out a little bit to say like, hey, everyone else is in the cave. I'm like outside of the cave, like looking around, like, is there a saber-toothed tiger? Is there another pack of cavemen that want my cave? Like, that's what that primal awareness is making us aware of. But, you know, being able to stick our necks out a little bit, think forward a little bit, but not so much where it's debilitating, is always going to be that balance that we face. And we all need a healthy amount of tension or discomfort at any time to be able to change. It's part of the human condition. I had somebody that booked a reading with me that was struggling because she said to me, like, you know, to be fair, like, I actually have had the opposite problem from people where it's like I never wanted for anything. Like, I was always provided for, I always had resources, and now I'm bored, essentially. It wasn't her vocabulary word, but she was like, I don't really know what to do with myself because I know that anything that I go after, I can get it if I want it. Basically, you know, reading in between lines, like, I have the income to be able to do that, right? And so my position in places like that is like, okay, so go and find a way that it's sustainable to help people who don't have that, and teach them how to do it in a way that they can do it sustainably. And when you're not on this earth anymore, that legacy of that training is put and imparted into other people who can continue out to make that ripple effect of change even better. So a lot of that also has to do with being smart about the resources that you have. You know, I'm not on here charging you guys $80 for a 10-minute reading because I don't need $80 for a 10-minute reading, right? Yeah, if I could use it at any point in time, right? I will always accept the abundance. But, right, there's places and spaces where I think that it, you know, there's a lot I could say, and a lot of people who have also done that for a little while, gotten a little bit of success, and are like, look, Brenna, you should do this too. And then there are also the people that are like, hey, Brenna, so what about business and how can I work? Because it's like we set the bar so high, we hit it a little bit, and then we're not integrating it with our nervous system and making it sustainable growth. You know, that's where we work with our Saturn placement for that. But a little bit of a tangent. As a helpful side for you guys. Thank you, Tara. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, I'm a Pisces, I'm an Aquarius, like, anything that I can do. That's why the more people that support me on platforms like social media, the more things I can make affordable and for free for you guys. Like, that's where the healthy energy exchange is. So, like, the more subs I get, the more follows, it also helps me help you. I'm not going to do, you know, you're never going to see me going and spending my money on like the latest Louis Vuitton handbag, because that doesn't do anything for everybody. It wouldn't even do anything for me. You know, there was like that Michaela makeup influencer that just did that haul, and it's like I hate when a person has money but they have no taste also, because it's not like you're just getting something, you know, to invest in a piece that you really like. You know, it's wasteful and just such a like ostentatious display of wealth that is so ignorant to what people are going through. And the thing that, you know, a lot of people are online right now to like find a place of comfort, because outside is very uncomfortable. You know, we pay for our phones, we might as well use the app for free, you know, to be able to entertain ourselves and not feel like we get that dopamine hit from spending money we don't have. That's also a theme this week. But back to you. Yeah, I dance with different people. As a shy person, I never thought I would do this. I love that. Well, just like honestly honoring this moment and understanding like what big of a leap that was for you to alchemize that with your nervous system, because what you taught yourself was that I am safe to be seen trying in front of other people, because they're also trying too, or they're in a position where like you're going to a class to learn something. Anyone who is in that like teacher-student dynamic is, if they're making fun of you, I would start laughing at them and being like, what are you here for then? Like, what is your problem, you know? But in places like that, especially for dance, it's like where people are able to express themselves so freely and feel that sense of openness. So I love that. I've been wanting to do, I was thinking of that too, like some dance classes. I danced actually for 10 years when I was in my like childhood years into my like very early teens. So I did ballet, I did hip hop, I did jazz, on and off for all those kind of of dances, but I love dance. It's a great way, especially being you're a sacral authority like me in human design. It's a great way to move that stuck energy, especially, I don't know if you guys know what switch walking is, especially as women, when you're able to, it's like how we control, our ponytail doesn't move like that naturally. We kind of do that on our own. It's the same, thinking of that motion, but with your hips. And it's actually very helpful for your root and your sacral chakras, especially as a sacral authority. And you also have a defined root, Megan. So like moving some energy, some energetic liquid to cleanse those chakras is very helpful. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. Another thing worth sharing, I was out of nowhere approached to do an interview for Black Hair. I love that. That's so exciting. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. I actually have another client. She's Morgan Victoria. If you search her up, she does scalp and healthcare. Yeah, I did. I know, it's so funny because I don't think about, like, it was so far ago, but like I do have rhythm, which is actually helpful as a white person. So I didn't get a Cuban husband without having rhythm, I will say that. Although it's been known to happen in history, I do have rhythm. I'm also the person that, like, when we had gone to Mexico a couple years ago, and I am the person that will go up and like dance with the like people who do like the activities and stuff like that. So that's always fun because it's supposed to be fun. Like I just like, I say that as somebody who is like incredibly insecure. That's actually why I stopped dancing, because I gained some weight in my teenage years, just going through puberty. And I was so hard on myself about my body and the way that I looked, and just nitpicking my weight all the time. I had an ED for a couple years in my like 18 to 20 that affected my hormones. I mean, there's so much that I could say, but I think because usually I'm doing a lot of readings, I don't always have lore drops like this that get inserted in here. I'm always in a space of helping you guys that I forget that those stories are also helpful just to paint the picture of my history. But you know, I spent so much time being anxious enough for the both of us that you don't have to be anxious, because I took care of that, you know, 10 years ago now. I do know salsa, bachata, a couple. So I need to practice like more of the organized steps in dancing, but I can pick it up at least pretty quickly just by watching, just because that's how my brain has always been trained for pattern recognition, which is what reminded me of why I brought, because I want to do some content for you guys, not even for you guys per se, but I want content to be out there about how to make your pattern recognition skills elite, but also critical thinking. Critical thinking is an art that isn't necessarily one that we are born with, and this is something that I will attribute it to from when I was a kid. When Manny, my husband, and I were in Maine 2 weeks ago for our elopement, we were in a kid's bookstore. He collects Pokemon cards, and so these were books. I want to get the I Spy Spooky Night, but these were books that I had read all the time, the I Spy books, when I was a kid. And so what this teaches you, right, when you're looking at something like this, is, I know it sounds so silly, but like I did these when we got home. Like I started from the beginning. This is the first one, the picture riddles one. This one is like another in the, I don't know, anthology. But doing I Spy books, hidden object games, Sudoku, things where you're looking word searches for patterns, it's so good for your brain, especially, again, just fun advice. If your family, you know, if there's memory care things happening in your family, like there is mine with my dad, these are so helpful. And it's such a fun way. I know it sounds so silly, and I probably look like I'm selling something for TikTok Shop right now, but it's a fun way to just get back into like the childhood essence of play, as we're speaking about dance, but also to help your pattern recognition skills. Even like, you know, being able to disassociate or like play a hidden object game on your phone. It's a great way to start to, if you feel like you want to just amplify that, or just start to practice like what it means to be able to pick things up and nuances in conversation with people in a way that doesn't feel seedy or like dark feminine, how to, you know, become like the American Psycho or whatever. Like, you know, making sure that we're using our powers for good. I kid you not, these are good ways to be able to do that. And it's, I don't know, just fun. I like to look at the pictures, and I think it's cute because like in some of the pictures you can actually see like reflections of the old man who like set up these scenes and took pictures. It was really cute. So there's a couple of them, but Yeah, I've been practicing, and I just love like, I love collage. Like, this is so fun. I love it so much, but just a fun kind of tip. But yeah, I think I have like 2 more spots open if anyone wants to book them. But if you guys want to ask any other questions or follow-up questions for any of your readings, anything that I said in the chat, you can do so now. But let me know. Yeah, no shade. Yeah, oh, what a coincidence. I love, yeah, oh my God. I love that. Wait, hold on. It'll appear in a second. Let me see. Oh, there we go. It'll probably shuffled out. There we go. Yeah, oh yeah, I learned to dance by watching and learn everything by watching and doing. Yes, exactly. It's so generator too. What a coincidence. I love that my question correlates with your videos. No shade, but I never understood the dark feminine videos. Yes, it does. Your question does correlate. It always does. Like, usually those are our pulls of our intuition that like kind of tell us like, what is it that we need? Like, what is it that that's on our heart? That's something that we're picking up instinctively. There's always a reason for that, you know, recognizing the pattern. Yeah, the dark femme videos, like, it depends on what area. It's kind of like the book by Robert Greene. I actually really like a lot of his writing because he's like a historian that condenses down like larger themes of history. Chelsea, you would appreciate that too if you're still here. But larger themes of history in, you know, to use those tools at your will, or to also know that those tools exist in society. Kaylin, who was here earlier, was gonna do a series at some point about like basically like the kinder way to use the 48 laws of power. And I love that idea. I've had that's floating around somewhere, I'm sure. And someone will pick up on it at some point. I've also thought about that myself. But yeah, with dark femme, I think a lot of it too is like, there are certain people who like, they're okay with following a certain power pattern to marry just for money. And that is its own dark feminine strategy. Like, that can fall in that lane. Also, just like the art of seduction like has been lost, and I think it's been bastardized, for lack of a better way to say it, by people who have taken anything and made it negative, you know, especially as women, like finding different ways to lean into our femininity, and seduction not always having to be, hi Jenna, seduction doesn't always have to be something that's immediately equated to sexuality too. And I think that also gets lost, because even though we're in a time where we can see so much gray, there unfortunately is a lot of the energy of like people not really being able to realize that. So thank you, Laura. Hello. I also randomly started getting like a bunch of French speakers like on my For You page today too, which is also kind of cool. But I was like, this is funny, like what is happening with the algorithm where it's like changing so much, but you know, we shall see. I'll probably stay on for 5 more minutes. Let me know if anyone's booking, because sometimes I've done that and someone was in the middle of booking and they're like, hey, where'd you go? But I'll stay on for about 5 more minutes in case you guys have any other questions, so that I can start emailing you. And I'll also, let me put this here. I wonder if this is gonna let me, maybe I can start uploading the video so I can get that out for you guys. It'll probably be a little bit slow, but let me see. We did update our internet, so fingers crossed it won't do anything crazy. Okay, so that'll be on its merry way. And this is funny too, right? So like, because I know that like this video, that I can talk about for perfectionism too. Oh, there you go. Yes, that makes sense because your name as well. Yes, I should practice my French again because I did study it in high school. So probably, yeah, there's some nice global activities going on right now. I love that. Anything specific that you want to share on your mind, or just like in general, you mean like you feel the good energy? But what I'll say in talking about, like, I didn't make a cover photo for this video, but I know that like I want it to get to you guys sooner rather than later. So I'm not going to panic about like, but I don't have a thumbnail and I didn't do my timestamps like I normally do, because I know that like for my people, even if it's, you know, I'm just sending it to 4 people, like that to me means more than waiting. There you go, social, yes. That to me means more than being like, well, I'm not going to send it until tomorrow. And I have like, no, like I just can feel that it needs to get out now. And like, I'm going to lean into that rather than hyper fixating on like what isn't working, you know, or what is, not what isn't working. That's not the right way to say that. Like what my flow is for what YouTube has to be, right? It's like leaning into what I feel is appropriate at this moment for what my people need. I'll look at your comments in 1 second. To click here to be able to get here we go, and it's uploaded. Oh, 10 minutes and then it'll be uploaded. So bye, Tara. I'll see you later. Aw, let me see. When I travel, I will use the astrocartography video before booking any trips. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Tara, isn't it nice to have? Yes. Oh my God, yeah. I'm trying to use my chart as a Sag Venus effectively. Oh my gosh, yes. And traveling is calling my spirit. I would also like look out into your like have vision boards or little things like backgrounds in your phone, fun wallpaper that you can make to be able to like tap into the energy of those places. That can also be something that's really fun for you to try, and like working with that energy a little bit. So I would recommend like working with the idea of tapping into the frequency. I also love the videos that are like try like McDonald's in every like in all these countries. Like for my 40th birthday, I want to go to Egypt for my 40th. Like go all out and have like a fun trip there. So I'm always looking at like, I swear, but it's funny because we talk about places we've never been. I actually have my Venus and my Sun lines running through Egypt like directly. And it's so funny because I have so many like, I've had so many Egyptians in my life, like in the last 10 years especially. So, which makes a lot of sense for, you know, just astrocartography. So just some other fun things to kind of pay attention to. But I will probably actually be back maybe a little bit on Saturday to talk more with you guys. So that way we tap in. If not this Saturday, then maybe next Saturday, because I will be also, maybe I'll do Sunday a little bit because I'll be with Rachel. We're going to be doing a little bit of work together in real life. And so I will be probably doing a little bit of streaming then. Oh, Brie, I just got off. I have a question. Yeah, do you want to drop it here? Or do you want to send me a message in Patreon? Let me know what you prefer. I'll wait a second. Oh, and Megan said, thank you, Orion, you too. Should I print my vision board or keep it in my Pinterest? I have a lot of them online. I think whatever is the path of least resistance for you to see it more. I mean, if you spend a lot of time in Patreon, there's no harm, no foul with keeping it there. I like having things like on my walls. Like I have like my little like trackers here, like progress trackers that I made for myself with like cute stickers on my bulletin board. I have my like whiteboard over here. Obviously my altar, I just made the longer video about that, the thrift store video. You know, I like to see things like off the floor and out in front of me. Okay, yeah, sounds good. That way you have a little bit more characters too, so it doesn't chunk you down. That was my point in saying that too. But I'll be on, like I'll keep an eye out, so I'll answer you right away. We'll be like talking in real time on there too, because I'll be doing my admin stuff. So that way you have me. It won't sit in the abyss until tomorrow. But yeah, I may see you guys this weekend. If not, I'm going to start to be on, you know, moving forward on the weekends on Saturday or Sunday. Just for the month of October, like on the 11th, I have a couple events that are happening. The 18th as well, but the 11th is when I'll be in person. I was also kind of thinking about like live streaming from there, so we shall see. But just for things, yeah, that's okay. Listen, there will be more. I always say it's a live, not the only live I'll be doing, so never worry about that. And again, like you have time. The week goes by so fast. I'll be back Wednesday and probably another day this weekend before you know it. So I'll let you guys know to give you at least like a heads up by a few hours at least, if not a day. I just can't think now that I'm like, my brain is like winding down. I've set the intention and said it out loud, so my brain knows. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. All of you that got a reading from me, Megan, Chelsea, Hannah, and Bobby, thank you. Keep an eye out on your inbox. Check your spam folder to make sure that it is there. Thank you for tuning in my YouTube portal, my TikTok portal, and I will see you